Thank you, Dr. Sundaramji, for speaking kind words about me. I'm grateful to Academy of Grassroots Studies and Research of India, AGRASRI Tirupati, for giving me this wonderful opportunity to share my thoughts to the audience of this lecture. I recall my association with AGRASRI 3 years back when I visited Tirupati and attended the national seminar, and I place on record all appreciations for Agarsi for doing wonderful work for research on rural studies, for which the founder director, Dr. Sundaramji, deserve appreciation for all times to come. With this note, let me come to the topic of discussion today, with the note that Sundaramji was telling that I belong to Kurukshetra. Probably all of you know Kurukshetra as Sundaramji was telling to you that basically where it is. People know Kurukshetra for Mahabharata as Sundaramji was telling to you, but being a humble student, teacher and researcher, I always promote Kurukshetra as a place to be the first ever university on the planet. I repeat, Kurukshetra as a place to be known to the world as a first ever university, because the message of Gita was delivered by Lord Krishna himself in the form of Bhagavad Gita. And let me tell you, the objective of a university is to get knowledge, and the best possible knowledge has been given by Lord Krishna himself. To move on the ladder of success with morality, opulence, victory and empowerment, believe that Lord Krishna and Arjuna is with you, and that is the Ek Shloki Gita if you put it in google.com. My meaning thereby, Ek Shloki Gita is Yatra Yogeshwar Krishno Yatra Partharo Dhanurdhar Tatra Sri Vijayo Mumurdita Nitramitra Mam. Meaning thereby, we have to move ahead with morality, opulence, victory and empowerment, believing that Lord Krishna and Arjuna is with us. That gives us fearlessness and an understanding Atmanirbharta. The topic I have kept is relevance of Needonomics for Atmanirbharta in rural India. And let me introduce the theme of this. Although Dr. Sundaramji has told you certain aspects of Needonomics as well as Atmanirbharta, but it is my duty to tell you how people have been perceiving Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan in May, when Prime Minister of India Narendra Modi ji talked it about. In Hindi, Atmanirbharta means self-sufficiency or self-reliance. As a student of economics, we know it that self-sufficiency is an objective which is pursued in a closed economy. And we pursued this up to 4th 5-year plan. 5th plan onwards, we have pursued the objective of self-reliance, meaning thereby we should have favorable balance of payments. Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan was misunderstood by many, thinking in terms of self-sufficiency only, which is basically a objective of a closed economy, and that was also smelted out when Modi ji said be vocal for local. That was misunderstood not only by many Indians but around the world. But basically, we have to be diplomatic in using the words. We have to replace be vocal for local with globalization. Globalization means think globally, act locally, so that we become part and parcel of the global economy as we are member of World Trade Organizations and the United Nations. So to my mind, we have to understand Atmanirbharta in all aspects of life with REACH model, which I would explain in detail, REACH model, with the relevance of needs and its economics, which is as old as civilization. You know how we have gone in for vegetation? In the beginning, when there was no vegetation, our forefathers were non-vegetarians. They were eating animals. So it was the need of the food that we have gone in for cultivation. The adage, necessity is the mother of invention, rightly explains the importance of needs. There is enough literature on economic thoughts relevant to justify Needonomics for Atmanirbharta. You might have heard about Maharaja Agrasen, who was contemporary of Lord Krishna 5,156 years ago. And you know Maharaja Agrasen, who was ruling a state, Agroha, whosoever coming to his state, Agroha, was given 1 rupee and 1 brick, and it was to be given by everybody so that he can survive, exist, and excel and set up business in that locality, that is Kingdom Agroha. He was of the view that everyone should contribute toward the society, and 25% of the resources should be allocated for others, which we talk now in terms of corporate social responsibility. He was of the view that we should also save for ourselves, so investing it into the economy, and from that point of view, we must learn many things from Maharaja Agrasen. The principle of Needonomics, economics of needs, is basically based on shloka number 22 of chapter 9 of Gita. Anyanya chintanto mayojana paryupaste tesham nitya viyuktanam yogam kemam bhamyam. Meaning thereby, Lord Krishna says, if you believe me completely, absolutely, and wholeheartedly, whatever you need, that I'll give you. Whatever you have, that I'll take care of. And that is the gentleman promise. And I'm happy to share with you the Life Insurance Corporation of India. In its logo, something written down the hands is Yogam Kshemam Bahamyam, which is practically flowing from shloka number 22 of chapter 9 of Gita. Your welfare is our responsibility. It is basically a common sense approach. Needonomics is a common sense approach, economics of needs, no to greed, which is ethical, non-violent, and spiritual in nature, and says no to greed. Let me tell you, economics needs to be divided into 2 parts. Economics of need to be called Needonomics, economics of greed needs to be called Greedonomics. Up till now, whatever economics we have been learning in the Western literature since Adam Smith, that is basically Greedonomics. Honestly speaking, most of the problem the society, global society is facing today, it is because of Greedonomics. Greed, terrorism, corruption, nepotism, uh, discrimination, discontent, all these things are caused by Greedonomics. We can say no to all these problems, corruption, terrorism, discrimination, by adopting Needonomics, which I have already told you is ethical, non-violent, spiritual, as well as environmental friendly. We have to understand the benefits with wide scope and conducting SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and challenges of Needonomics for the economy with globalization for Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam and spiritually guided materialism strategy, which is flowing from Gita. For Needonomics as well as Atmanirbharta, you know, in Gita, Atma means soul. Basically, Atmanirbharta means dependence on soul. We should not get a certificate from anybody that we are doing good deeds as AGRASRI is doing. We are doing it for the satisfaction of our soul. Therefore, it is our duty to understand what we are to do and what we have not to do, why we have to do, why not we have to do, when we have to do, when we have not to do, where to do, where not to do, for whom. This question should ponder over the mind of all the stakeholders of rural development in India. Honestly speaking, we are having inefficiencies, misutilization of resources, and the time has come when we have to have serious introspection when we are entering into 2021, and we have to work without worries. Let it be taken as WWW for all times to come, in case we want to survive, exist, and excel in all endeavors, including rural development. Dr. Sundaramji, let me share with you. Few years back, I was associated with UPSC, and in General Study Paper 3, there was a question, what is the difference between Bharat and India? Most of the candidates responded that Bharat lives in villages and India lives in cities. That was basically a division given by most of the candidates. But let me tell you, Bharat means, Bha means knowledge, Rat means seeker. Bharat is a knowledge seeker economy from the very beginning. That is why it enjoys the status of Vishwa Guru. Let me honestly tell you, none of the country could dare to challenge India, Bharat, for status of Vishwa Guru. Although in terms of number of indicators, we stand nowhere. Recently, we got Human Development Report, and we are now 137, or in many indicators we stand nowhere, in global hunger index also. But it is our duty to understand that why Bharat was called India. Most of the students can see it in English dictionaries that Bharat is called India as independent nation declared in August. Sad to observe that Bharat is the only country which is called in English got independence in August. But to make new India vision for rural as well as urban development, we must understand India as independent, non-violent democracy, integrity, and amity, which gives us the introspection for Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. I have knowingly put it Atmanirbharta and rural India because Atmanirbharta is required at individual level and at a societal level, as a country level. And as Sundaramji has told to you that Prime Minister has spelled out 5 basic pillars of Atmanirbharta. So we have to have this vision of India as independent, non-violent democracy with integrity and amity. Atmanirbharta, depending on soul, doing all kind of actions, good or bad. Society is the stakeholder. All around us are benefited or harmed because of our role in the society. And Needonomics also says that whatever we should do it not only for ourselves, but we should do it for others as altruism. For that, society is all minus I. I myself is not society, but around I is society, around you is society, and around us there are 4 actors: consumers, producers, distributors, and traders, whether we talk about village economy or we talk about urban economy. Dr. Sundaramji, when you were student, when I was a student, that time producer was called a hero because Say's law of market was operational. Supply creates its own demand. But today, this law has become obsolete. Today, consumer is a hero and consumer demands the products as per their requirements, sometimes desires, sometimes wants, sometimes demands, sometimes basic needs, sometimes luxuries. And a hero is always interested in a heroine. So is the case of a consumer as a hero, interested in goods and services, interested in quality of goods and services. They talk of standards, they talk of guarantee, they talk of warranty. Therefore, when a hero demands heroine, all those who create problem for a hero to meet heroine is called villain. Meaning thereby, in the present circumstances, if consumer is not able to get goods and services, all those who are responsible for that, distributors and traders, the policy makers, the government, they are called villain. And it is our duty to identify them, and we have to go in for making easier for the hero as a consumer to meet the heroine goods and services. Let me share with you, basically the market is full of goods. The malls, the shops are having goods around them, but they don't have basically the demand because people don't have purchasing power. Presently, the economy is suffering from recession, and that recession is not of supply side only, although supply chain was broken during lockdown and many things could not come up. But to my mind, recession is due to lack of demand because of purchasing power is not there with the consumers both in rural areas and urban areas, and certain decisions of the government are subject to criticism for that. I have come out with this REACH model for making Atmanirbharta as Needonomics. Sundaramji, I am giving a serious thought to Atmanirbharta as a Needonomics and Needonomics as Atmanirbharta. Basically, Needonomics is Atmanirbharta and vice versa. Keeping in this mind, I have developed this model for understanding Atmanirbharta, dependence on soul. We have Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is ism neutral, religion free. It is on management, relationship management, and welfare economics. That tells us to recall self as a soul, and that is what Atmanirbharta is. To make individuals, the nations, Atmanirbhar, we have to read Gita. We have to empower ourselves with enlightenment, the message which is being given in this great epic, which has proved to be a panacea for solving all the ills prevailing in the society, including economy, whether you talk it rural economy or the urban economy. We need commitment among all the stakeholders as consumers, producers, distributors, and traders to achieve Atmanirbharta as well as accepting Needonomics as Atmanirbharta. Hold on needs. Honestly speaking, we can think of satisfying needs, not greed. And that is a message of Mahatma Gandhi also. Mahatma Gandhi used to say that earth has sufficient to satisfy needs, not greed. And we had one study by J.K. Mehta also, who was justifying that we should have wantlessness, meaning thereby we have to confine to needs. So REACH model, REACH model is most relevant to understand Atmanirbharta as a Needonomics relevant for present times of COVID crisis when we are having basically the recession in the economy. The citizens in rural India as consumers, producers, distributors and traders know the realities of COVID crisis in terms of recession. And let me tell you, while today is the last day of 2020, 2020 has become the most negative, because of test positive has become the negative word, and we must have a ray of hope for 2021, for which I greet the audience of this webinar with hope that keeping in mind Atmanirbharta, we can go in for surviving, existing, excelling in 2021. Atmanirbharta is necessary and sufficient condition for sustainable development, utilizing our resources not only for the present generation, but keeping some resources for the future generation. And by keeping a check on greed, which is villain for all in all times to come. Therefore, if we want to achieve sustainable development, intergeneration equity, and we want to achieve sustainable development goals 2030, we have to consider Atmanirbharta as a Needonomics necessary and sufficient condition. We have to understand and adopt Needonomics based on Gita as insurance for Atmanirbharta, for survival, existence, and excellence of every Indian living in rural areas even. I believe that the Indian economy is basically facing Chakravyuh challenges. Many times we try to solve a problem, but when we try to solve the problem, we aggravate the problem, which gives birth to many other challenges. And we have to solve the socio-economic problems, including the debt. Honestly speaking, whatever packages have been announced in 4 phases by the government of India, they are talking in terms of giving loan. It is basically giving an opportunity for people to face cobra. We may become victim of the debt problem, but to be aware of these challenges, we have to adopt Needonomics not only for consumers who have to confine to needs, but the producers, distributors, and traders should also understand Needonomics. For that, I have come out with a NA approach of marketing agro products. Sundaramji, I am having this product with me. Do you see what is it?
Sir,
What is it?
this is a pen, sir.
No, it is not a pen, but it is a pen type water filter.
Oh, yes, sir.
You know, around the country, we have water pollution. We don't have safe drinking water. If I say this product is available in the market to be sold in rural areas as well as urban areas, what I am doing, I am creating its need. Dr. Sundaramji, do you need it?
Yes. Yeah.
But you don't know what is the cost. If I say it is costing $500,
Oh,
do you have dollars now in the pocket?
no, sir.
Meaning thereby, market is full of goods like this, which are needed by the consumers, but they are not affordable. It is costing very much. That is why there is a recession in the economy, demand created recession, because people don't have purchasing power. It is the duty of the marketers, by creating demand, by creating need, they have to make it affordable also. Sundaramji, if I say my man will come to you in Tirupati every day, charging only 1 rupee per day for 365 days, meaning thereby I have made it affordable to you, and the price of this is worth of it. So I'm just giving an example that a pen type water filter is needed by everybody, but even if needed, cannot be bought if it is not being made affordable and worth of its price. So this is the marketing strategy which we have to adopt for agro products being produced in the rural areas. Without this, we cannot have rural development at all. Rural development in India, we have been doing it for the last many years. The latest programs like Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, we are doing many things, but sorry to say that this is being misutilized, it is being abused. There are many loopholes in that, and how to do corrections in that, I'll talk it about later. We have observed entire system of rural development with full of inefficiency, unhealthy practices, and misuse of the provisions and scheme with polluted mindsets of the nexus of politicians and corrupt officials. We have to check that, and we have to find out how we can make use of the opportunities. And let me honestly tell you, that is why we have deficits, including fiscal, revenue, budget, primary, trade, and above all, trust, which can be addressed by reducing the coefficient of distrust which is prevailing in the country nowadays. As you might have seen, the farmers are agitating in the periphery of Delhi. Farmers are not fools. If the government is clever, they should not make false premises for the farmers, and they should come out with concrete proposals to solve the problems which the farmers are facing, which the rural area is facing. I have many thoughts which I would like to share with you. Firstly, we being Needonomists have to justify expenditure, judicious expenditure. I'm sorry to observe there are many things which we don't have resources, and we have been wasting our resources on many things which could be avoided for a few years. When we are facing crisis of COVID, when we are having a recession in the economy, certain things can be postponed, and this wastage of resources should be ensured. We should not waste our resources, and expenditure should be made based on canons of public expenditure given by Ambedkar. Although Ambedkar was known to the entire world for as one of the authors of Constitution of India as well as Dalit Masiha, many of the people don't know about Ambedkar as an economist. Ambedkar, when he was writing functions of CAG, he has given canons of public expenditure. There were three canons of public expenditure given by Ambedkar. One was faithfulness. Whatever should be done, we should be doing it for the faithfulness to the voters who have given them votes in the democracy, which we have to strengthen as a pillar of our Atmanirbharta. Therefore, we should not waste our resources on many things which we are doing at the moment. We should use the wisdom of the experts. Dr. Sundar is an expert on Panchayati Raj institutions. He should be consulted by various state governments in implementing the schemes for rural areas. And for that, we have to execute the programs with economy in execution. You know, without these three canons, it is not possible to have judicious expenditure in rural development. And I'm sorry to confess, Dr. Sundar ji, we are responsible for creating a problem of free riders that has to be stopped once for all. And we have to use user pay principle, which is in need of the time. We should not allow many things to the people free of cost. Free of cost things can be thought of only in emergencies like COVID, like giving vaccine deserve to be given free of cost, but not everything. People should pay for the use they are doing it. I am of the considered opinion for rural development, for the contribution of the people living in rural areas, we should have matching grant. Matching grant is an experiment which can be done in all aspects of life. There can be schemes where 100% in emergencies, but there can be 75 central government, 25 by local government, or 75 by the government, 25 by the people, or 50-50 basis. These matching grants can succeed in having real rural development. We have to have rural tourism, as I have seen in Malaysia. People going for rural tourism in a village, and they don't serve the tourist like is being done in the restaurants or in the hotels or the motels. They simply put it in the hall. People come there, eat there, wash their utensils, and go back and pay for that. That kind of rural development, tourism, need to be developed. And we must have rural industrialization. Here I would like to clarify, India doesn't need rural industry, village industries, for which we have been making case time and again, but we have to go in for rural industrialization. Rural industrialization means we should have backward and forward linkage with agriculture, meaning thereby the input being given to agriculture sector and the output being used by that sector is called rural industry, which is the need of the time to solve our problems. I justify rain harvesting. You know, my beloved country is facing from droughts as well as floods. We are not ready neither to face floods nor for droughts. The solution lies in rain harvesting in a big manner. During rainy season, we should have rain harvesting. Similarly, to come out of the crisis of energy, we have to adopt solar energy system in a big manner, for which we have to make out the funds available to the people in rural areas. We have to learn best practices from other countries like Palli culture. You know, we have been wasting time like anything in taking decision. Marginal propensity to decide is very low in India. We have to increase our decision making power by learning something, best practices available from the world. I have been in South Korea. I have seen the culture called Palli. Palli means hurry up, be quick. For rural development also, Sundar Ramji, I would like to tell you, they have a model that is called Semol model of rural development in Republic of Korea, that is South Korea. Here, in this model, they involve all, and they simply allocate 11% for rural development. But they don't pay finances. They give material, they give cement, they monitor it very properly, and that model is a successful story in rural development of South Korea. Therefore, we have to learn many lessons from this Samuel model. In our country, we believe in post-mortem approach. We go in for seeing what are the causes, why people have died, but we don't have prognosis approach. For rural development, we have to have prognosis approach, and so that the resources are not wasted and we make proper analysis for allocating the resources, bringing efficiency, sufficiency, and equity. Our villagers who are now living in democratic India, there are basically Panchayati Raj Institution Act, which is in play, and which, although it was done in 1994, still we have not implemented properly. For that, our villagers need to be street smart as consumers, producers, distributors, and traders. For that, I have developed these two models, which I would like to explain to you. Sundaramji, street smart person is a person who knows the environment, who knows what is happening around us, who knows we are victim of COVID crisis, who knows we are victim of recession. Although many of us are over smart, many of us are stupid smart, but we need to become street smart as consumers, producers, distributors, and traders. For that, transparency is needed. Although RTI was talked about for transparency, but I'm sorry to say that this has not proved to be transparent, and RTI is being misused, abused, and has given birth to a new category of criminals, white collar criminals, who are indulging into harassing people. And presently, when everything is online, online banking, online trade, online teaching, online education, artificial intelligence is in play. Me and you are being watched by Google Baba, and we have to be aware, alert, and awake with Vivek for using the transparency artificial intelligence. We have to have wisdom to look into the cyber crimes. Cyber laws need to be strengthened for bringing transparency online. We need to be responsive. We have been wasting time. I was telling to you that in decision making, sorry, we need to adopt 24-hour, 7 days model in the economy. Many things can be done in 24 hours. Many things can be done in 7 days. Certain things can be done in 1 month, but we should not delay. Our judicial system, we talk about, there are cases lying pending for 20 years, 30 years. We have to be responsive. We should put a time framework in solving the problems. We have to stop this target-oriented approach of wasting the resources in the financial year system. 31st March has become a ritual day in my beloved country, and the financial year starts on April 1st, which is a Fool's Day. We have to stop it. Heaven is not going to fall if you're not able to utilize the resources on 31st March. On that day, people sit till 12 o'clock in the night in making bills and wasting the resources. We should replace this target-oriented approach of wasting the resources on 31st March and become result-oriented, action-oriented, and give the resources in the month of April, May, June, so that we don't have the problem of resources. Morality is the name of game. Honestly speaking, Sundaramji, when we talk in terms of Needonomics, Needonomics is basically Arthavirda Dharma, which talks of ethics in economics. Ethics in economics is nothing but Needonomics, which have to be understood with ethical economics, with sattvic income, not going in for simply becoming greedy and harassing people, exploiting people, discriminating people. We need to become simple in the strict sense of the term. Mahatma Gandhi has been talking of simple living and high thinking, but I always say simple living and no thinking. No thinking does not mean that we should not think. We should think only of those things which are in our control, and we should not think of those things which are not in our control. And that is the message of Bhagavad Gita also. Atmanirbharta. Atmanirbharta means when we do things based on soul, we don't need any certificate from anybody that we are doing good deeds. In this simple model of human development, which I have developed in my book, Economics of Human Resource Development in India, I have come out with that people as consumers, producers, distributors, and traders must have higher emotional quotient. They should motivate themselves, motivate others, and empathize with others, not sympathize with others. Therefore, the time has come when IQ is obsolete, which is related with your brain, with your head, but emotional quotient is related with your heart, and that needs to be developed for developing patience, developing motivation, developing empathy among all the stakeholders as consumers, producers, distributors, and traders, which are required to be adopted for rural development in a big manner. Love one at his self attitude. Honestly speaking, whatever we do, we should do it for the sake of soul satisfaction with fearlessness. Fear, as false evidence is appearing real, is for death is baseless. When we talk in terms of soul, soul is immortal, death rate is zero. As soul, we don't die. As a physical body, everybody is to die. You have to die. I have to die. Therefore, why to worry? Why there is a fear of death? We should become fearless of death. whether we are victim of corona or not. Physical development is required because a sound mind lives in a sound body. Health is wealth. Sundaramji, before COVID crisis, lockdown, I used to go to temple every day, but now I don't go to temple because I have started considering my physical body as temple because soul lives in it. Therefore, I take care of my physical body, take care of my food, take care of my exercises. Therefore, we have to go in for physical development in rural areas also. Mental level development is required. We are in the process of war of words, blame game, as farmers are accusing government of India and government is alligating farmers. We should stop this blame game. We should change our looks, actions, and words to make it love the land and basically come out with the solutions of the problems which we are facing. And these problems can be sorted out. Every problem has a solution, honestly speaking. For that, we have to change our mindset. Intuition development. As a Needonomist, I predict that there is a bright future of Bharat, India in times to come because the rate of progress in spirituality is faster than the rate of progress in materialism. And spirituality is the name of the game. Spiritually guided materialism is required for adopting Needonomics as principle for Atmanirbharta. Therefore, let me conclude, smart and simple models are to be adopted for making every stakeholder of the economy, including villagers as consumers, producers, distributors, and traders, so that we can solve the problems of rural areas. Let me conclude. We need overhauling of the entire system of rural development, full of inefficiencies, unhealthy practices, and misuse of the provisions in schemes with polluted mindsets of the nexus of politicians and corrupt officials. For Atmanirbharta in rural India, we need to learn from Samuel model of rural development and Palli Palli culture of South Korea, involving all with only 11% contribution of the government through training and material instead of money in cash to villages. Atmanirbharta in rural India is a necessary and sufficient condition for sustainable development with use of solar energy, rain harvesting, and rural tourism, as I have seen in Malaysia. We need to adopt NAW, need, affordability, and worth approach of agro products marketing with Needonomics in choices of all kinds. Atmanirbharta in rural India calls for street smart villagers as consumers, producers, distributors, and traders. To obtain Atmanirbharta in rural India, we need REACH model consisting of 5 steps, including Read Gita, empowerment with enlightenment, altruistic approach, commitment, and holding needs. With these words, I am grateful to my friend Dr. Sundar Ramji and AGRASRI for giving me this wonderful opportunity to share my thoughts on the relevance of Needonomics for Atmanirbharta in rural India. I place on record my appreciation for AGRASRI and wish the listeners Happy New Year 2021. Thank you, Sundar Ramji.